hello. Welcome to the Reflective Speaker Series. How are you guys doing this evening? Happy
Hey,
Valentine's Day to you.
Right.
absolutely, absolutely.
And to all the viewers out there, happy Valentine's Day to you. I hope you're having a wonderful day. And just remember that Valentine's Day is not only today alone.
Hmm.
Valentine's Day is every single day.
Should be,
And it
should
all,
be.
exactly, and it all starts with you because first you got to love yourself. You got to love yourself. You got to show yourself compassion, you know. And sometimes you find a person might say today that, I don't have a Valentine. You are your own Valentine.
Oh, you
You
might
can
need to
take,
say that again.
right. You can take yourself to dinner. You can take yourself to breakfast. You can take yourself out. You don't have to have a special Valentine in your life. You make yourself special. Do special things for you because you are a Valentine. You are love. So do something special for yourself today. Cook yourself a nice dinner. If you like to have a nice bottle of wine, just drink a nice bottle of wine. Just do you.
Oh
Just do
boy,
you.
that was coming out hot, folks.
I know.
Ooh,
And this evening we got such an interesting topic. Once upon a time. And since we hear that phrase once upon a time, you're talking about a story, right?
absolute,
So
absolute.
what is your once upon a time? Just
So
drop in the comments.
yeah,
What is
exactly.
your once upon a time?
There you go. Because something to interrupt you for a second here. The title actually the story is about you. I'm gonna moderate and kind of tell my side of the story here, but I want you to put yourself into the flow of your own stories too, because that's who you end up being, and then your life is revolving around the stories that connect to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know the beautiful thing is that we all have a unique story. We all have a unique story, and many times we are so afraid to even bring it out. But when you bring out our story, it's able to help so many other people because a lot of people are suffering in silence. They're not brave enough to tell their once upon a time. But your once upon a time can help somebody else find their once upon a time.
Ooh,
So it's
Karen, you
right.
are smoking.
So
Okay.
it's really good when we have these type of platforms whereby we can come together and we can share stories and to help others to realize and to know that their story have value, their story have a community, their story can be shared to help someone else out there who may be going through some experience at this point in time in their lives. And we all go through different experiences so we can tell stories. Each part of our lives, we go through different chapters. And the chapters is what make up the stories. We need these chapters because these chapters also help us to evolve. We always got to look for the gems in the chapters. Some chapters may not be so nice, but you know what? We need the chapters. We need those chapters in our lives. And this evening, what a better person that we have, Will, our co host. And he's going to share once upon a time and how we can be creative and bring out our story and bring it to life and help others, as I said before, to go deep within themselves and find their once upon a time. I hope you continue to do your journaling. I hope you continue also to find your pause time whereby you can sit back and you can go within and you can find the value in yourself and know that you are worthy enough. Because many times the noises that we hear, we tell ourselves we're not worthy enough, but you are worthy. Look yourself in the mirror when you get up in the morning and you tell yourself, I am enough and I am worthy. I'm here for a reason and I'm here for a purpose. You are worthy. So find that quiet time, that silent time that you could go within yourself and find the reason and the purpose why you were here. You're not here by accident. You are not here by accident. You're here for a reason and a purpose. And this evening, we just want to welcome you to the show. And don't forget to subscribe to Soul Light and Body, that you will never miss none of these episodes. We got some good stuff coming down the line, and it's going to be very informative, very inspiring, very motivated. So just go subscribe. Don't even hesitate. And we also have 2 books. Myself and my sister wrote Self Care is Intentional and Your Gut in You. And both books is to help you, the individual. It's up on Amazon to help you to understand your gut and help you to understand also about self-care, because of course self-care is going to the spa, but there's so many other things that makes up self-care. So grab yourself one of the copies, or if you could even give someone one of these books as a birthday present, as an anniversary present. You make your choice and you make it as a gift. I am Karen Pascal, holistic health and wellness coach and a co-author of the 2 books, Self-Care is Intentional and Your Gut in You, with my sister Joan. And we just want to welcome you once again to this podcast because it's going to be very informative. Grab yourself a notepad and a pen so you can find your once upon a time. Joan, take the mic.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Great opening as always.
Thank you.
Coming with great energy. Off of we're still in the Valentine's Day. How are you showing love? How are you extending love? How are you extending love? In order to extend love, first of all, you gotta love yourself. You gotta love you. You gotta choose you. Because when you can embody that and choosing you and loving yourself and pouring love on yourself and embracing and just letting yourself know that I love you, you look yourself in the mirror and let remind yourself who you are. Remind yourself that you are special and that you are amazing. And when you can love yourself full enough and you can feel fulfilled and you feel satisfied that I am loved, then now you can move to the next step. You can share love, you can give love, you can extend love, and then you can receive love because you know what it is to feel like to be loved. And you also know what it is like not to be loved when love is not shown to you because you are aware, because that is why self awareness is so important. Because when you are aware about yourself, then you know what you're not going to tolerate. You're going to know what are your non negotiables. You're going to know where your boundary lies. And boundaries is something for your well being. Because in order for us to function and move in the level of alignment, those boundaries need to be maintained. They can shift a little bit as we all evolve, but it's important to have those boundaries. And today, seeing that we're talking about once upon a time, but we also want to talk about, are you nourishing and nurture yourself? So important because as we nourish ourselves, because we have to eat good food, sustain ourselves with great nutrients and every single thing. That is one aspect. But what about the other aspect of our lives? Our spirituality, our physical activity, our environment, our inner environment and our outer. How are we navigating in those spaces? Are we moving in the space of cluttered, cluttered area? Are we decluttering? It's 2025. Are we able to move away and clear those things that are not serving us well so that we can receive all the greatness, all the wonderful things that is out there to come to us? The universe want to give it to us. But when it's clogged or cluttered, there is no room for it to fill it up with. So as we are in 2025 and we're moving through, One of the things, let's try to navigate in clearing away those clutter, the things that are not serving us well, so that we can move light, feel light, forgive. I know that's a hard thing, but we can find ourselves space in our heart to forgive and let things go. And when we sometimes if there are people that we have to let go with love. Because once upon a time, that situation served you. There was love there. So when we let it go with love. Because it just means that we all are in different spaces, and as we continue to evolve, that evolution is taking place. We're going different paths so that we all can live our true essential self. That is so important. Because when we understand that, then we can move. We can move on the trajectory. We can embody our purpose, move with passion, serve well. Because as we can extend that to the world, we are creating an impact. Are we showing ourselves love? Are we talking about love? But are we showing ourselves grace, compassion? Or are we being hard on ourselves? Remind yourself you have what it takes, and your past does not define you. Yes, we all go through failures. We go through rejection. But when we go through failures and we go through rejection, it's just the universe is saying that it's moving us, we are being redirected. So let's put our attention and focus on what is important, what matters to us. Because when we can embody all of that and move in that level of alignment, there is clarity. We can see clear. And I know that Karen spoke about pause. Pause is so important because when you take that quiet time to pause, reflect, do some introspection, we can able to see what is not working and what is, and embrace our inner intuition, that inner self, that inner wisdom, that sense of knowing. And when we can listen to that and grasp that, our life changes and we move into a level of transformation because then we know who we are. How are you showing up in the world? Are you advancing with a level of confidence, knowing who you are, self assured? What are you bringing to the table? Sit with that tonight. Don't, as Karen spoke about our two books, but don't forget to subscribe to our magazine as well. Good stuff in here, nice, great recipes, and good topics. Talk about healthy lifestyle, physical activity, which is so important for us to move, and all that good stuff. So tonight, welcome those who are watching live and those who are gonna catch us on the replay. Just so you know that you are special, and remind yourself that you are worthy.
Mm-hmm.
You are unique. You got a special gift within you. 2025, step into that, share it with the world so we all can celebrate you. And we celebrate all of you to making those bold moves to write your books, your podcast, whatever it is. We celebrate you because you're making that step, you're making that start, and you're not letting fear define you. You might feel a little bit of fear, but you're embracing and you're doing it anyway, and you're moving forward. So congratulations to all of you. My name is Joan Williams, holistic health and wellness coach, and do a lot of amazing things as well. So thank you for being here. And we got a great topic tonight. We got an amazing person who has been on with us for quite a while. No big introduction because he's already known among the community. Ladies and gentlemen, here, Mr. Will Williams.
Thank you very much for that introduction. Yeah, Joan, I say this every show that I appear on with you. It is hard to follow you. Even though I'm the guest of this show, it is still difficult to come on and now have to do what I'm getting ready to do here because you are good. I'm looking forward to interviewing you when I flip in and I get the chance to talk to you. This is going to be a really good show. So this is coming up. I don't know when, folks, but when we get this lined up and Joan and Karen are going to be the guests. I don't know if we're going to do them simultaneous yet or not, how we're going to do it, but you won't want to miss that show. So that's coming up. But Joan, thank you for that introduction, and that was really insightful and touching as an introduction. You're a great speaker. You know, the world hasn't completely heard you yet, but they will. They will. You're coming. You're coming. So
Thank you.
get ready, world, because when she comes out in full fledged uh, dress, it's going to be something unique and special to hear her talk and speak.
Thank you.
So
We all are, but
yeah,
thank you.
I agree with that. Without having an ego in it, I agree with that. But
Yeah.
but
Don't
tonight's
forget
show,
don't
go
forget my
ahead.
sister.
Absolutely can't. How can you do that? I mean, before I get ready to speak too, let me say this. Okay, people understand that you guys are sisters and you're not twins, right? But to a degree, you are twins. You know, when you get the chance to be in the presence of these two ladies and get a chance to embrace and talk with their energy, it's almost like you're talking to one person. I mean, they feed off each other so well that they're on the same page. And so when you speak into them, when you come on and be a guest on this show, and we're doing this virtually. See, this is something else I need to touch on real quick. It is difficult to do a show like this, and we're doing it virtually where the person actually is in the studio with you, right? Now, a lot of times in the transition of having a show like that, the energy is dropped. You know, you can't create the same energy as you do in person. But here's the thing: there is a group of people that walk the face of this earth that are able to transcend their energy no matter where they speak at or their presence is. And so when you have people that you can speak over video and you can still feel the energy that they have and connect with the words that they speak, that's a very unique person. And so very few people can do shows to where they can speak. Some people can't even do it when they're in person with another person. You watch some of these podcasts and you're like, what the heck is going on? And, you know, you miss all the information that they are there to give you. But this is a unique situation where you get the chance to engage with people who can actually transcend their energy through the video. And so we're doing this live right now. But even on the replay, when you watch this replay of this, you're going to be able to feel what we were talking about. Now, everybody won't feel it because that's not the way the world operates. But the people
Right.
that are meant to be, they will connect with this energy. So
Mhm.
everybody's on a frequency, and those people that's on the same frequency pick up the same energy.
Right.
So when I'm speaking here in a little bit, I'm speaking directly to the people who are connected to my energy. And so the people that are outside of that, you know, hey, you'll hear me, and you may not even feel what I'm saying, but that's okay too, because we're not on the same energy wave, and that's okay. But as long as I can put something to where it stays with you,
Right.
at some point you'll
Mhm.
utilize that. Wait a minute, I heard that said before. What can I do with that? That's all that matters. And so when I'm sure when all the three of us speak to people, that's our intent. You know, we speak intentionally. And so, like I always tell people, I'm trying to speak from the perspective of you knowing that you already have the motivation for what you want to do, and for some reason you're just not taking those steps because people
Right.
feel fear, right? And so when I'm speaking to you, I'm speaking to you from an inspirational trans- transportation point of me trying to transition you from the motivation into action. And so hopefully one of the words that I use will trigger that and within you and let you know that you can do this. And so that's basically what I'm going to speak about this evening. You know, uh, Joan and Karen have already introduced me, but I'm Will Williams. And, when I speak, I always say I am. Now,
Mm.
I just said that because that's power. Okay, that's me embracing all of me and the world around me. I am. And so when you do that, you dissipate fear. I don't fear anything, death, whatever comes may come, but I don't have any fear of anything. And so I carry myself in a sense of I am, because I'm not afraid to leave here, this body. And so I'm not afraid of failure or making a mistake. I'm letting you know that I'm human, so to speak, since that's what we have this forum for. And I'm letting you know that it's okay. So if I fail at something, it's okay. I'm going to at least fail trying. I'm not going to fear that, what if something doesn't go right? Or I don't have enough of this to make that work out. That's not even about me. So this title, Once Upon a Time, is basically the story of you. I'm going to tell a story here to carry you along with me, but it's your own story that you're going to be reflecting. And so that's what I want you to do tonight is put yourself within the story as I'm telling it here, to follow me with your own steps. Because everything that you are right now, that's from all the stories, or many stories, many movies that you've had to go through to get to where you are right now. So in movie land, even when you read a book, sometimes authors are good at doing this. The end of the story is actually the beginning of the story. And so you're about from what you thought was the past is now into the future, which all of this stuff is happening simultaneous. Like right now, as you see us on screen when I'm speaking, I'm in your past, present, and future right now. Just a few seconds ago, I said a few things that's past. You're looking at me in the presence as I'm speaking. Right now, that's present, right? Future is a blurred line between those two. So let me tell you the story here. I want to take you through it. I want to tell, I have a whole lot of different ones, but this is the one I want to use for this particular Once Upon a Time. When I was in 10th grade, okay, I had a coach, football coach. I was playing football. I had a football coach. Nobody wanted at the school that I attended wanted to play for this particular coach. He had a really bad reputation of being a really nasty man, right? So nobody wanted to play for this guy. And so as I moved from ninth grade to 10th grade, I tried to get a transfer to another school. I didn't want to play for him. And I was coming from a great ninth grade season where I was, making player of the week every week. I was a star player. But I didn't want to play for him because I didn't agree with how he treated his players. I didn't think that was going to be a place for me to be. So I tried to transfer to another school. And I held out of practice for 2 weeks, trying to get my mother to allow me to transfer schools. She wouldn't do it. So I had to go back and then try to get on that team after 2 weeks because I wanted to play, because at the time they had this rule where you had to play your 10th grade year in order to play on the varsity, 11th and 12th grade season, right? And so I had to play. So I had to go back and tell him, okay, I'm here, I'm gonna play, and can I get equipment? So he gave me some halfway decent equipment. He was trying to break my spirit at this point, but he was upset with me, right? Which this is what I'm going to cover in this too is going to be your boundaries, things that Joan just covered, your self-love, your forgiveness, your letting go with love, and she mentioned rejection, and then she said you need to be in alignment to have all of this in clarity, right? So you can understand what's happening. So he passed out this equipment to me, and it was just good enough just to be able to practice it and stuff that he gave. Okay, he was trying to break my spirit. He figured, okay, well, you're going to hold out, then I'm going to, sort of see if you really want to play or not. So he made it very difficult for me. Now I was a starter my freshman year. Started every single game we played. He put me so far down the depth chart that we didn't even have players on the team for this depth chart that he made up. I was number 6 on the depth chart that didn't have but 35 players. If he had ran all the other players off, he was good at getting everybody, all the kids would be excited about playing, But then when you showed up, he would do everything within his power to break your spirit to see how bad you really wanted to be on that team.
Mm.
So a lot of kids, they would just give up and quit, turn their equipment in, and go find another class to replace athletics, right? So he put me in that position where I was practicing, but I wasn't going to play in any games as being number 6. I mean, he was putting 13 quarterbacks in front of me, all kinds of stuff. So I wouldn't hit the field. He wouldn't put me on the kickoff team, wouldn't put me on the punt return team, none of that stuff. All I did, suited up, went to the game, and stood on the sideline the whole game. That was it. So when you have talent, just like in life and in your job or in your business, you know you're good enough to do this, right? But his thing was he was going to see just how long I was going to be able to take this. It was an attack on me basically as a person. Now I'm in the 10th grade, granted. I'm only 15, 16 years old, so I haven't encountered anything like this for that time, right? So he's trying to break me. So we go through about 3 games. I don't even touch the field. And one of the things that when we talk about boundaries that this particular coach did is he always had this mean streak in him to where at halftime of a game, when usually a team is making adjustments and resting and getting cold water and refueling themselves to get ready for the third and the fourth quarter, he had us running wind sprints, 40-yard wind sprints at halftime. So it was all our girls, like it was a practice. Now the other teams would be over there watching us run these 40-yard wind sprints on the game field while they're on the sideline over or maybe in a locker room preparing for the second half of the game. We're running wind sprints. And so he's breaking us down the whole time. Now, if you're at your job or in life or something like that, you have people, managers, bosses that are above you that will try to break your spirit. You have to come back from that. And even in your personal life, you may be with the wrong person, but you really
Sure.
love this person and you're trying to make this work and they're doing everything that they can to break you. And you're like questioning yourself, like, why am I still here? What's wrong with me? Now, this comes back to the self-love that Joan mentioned. You have to love yourself so deep that
Mm-hmm.
you know what love is. As we mentioned at the top of this show, this is being done on we're doing this on Valentine's Day, and so the day itself is a consumer day. It's created a long time ago. We may end up doing a show about all of that in the future, but this love is present all the time. It's not a one day creation where it's about flowers or
Absolutely.
candy or meals or anything like that. You have to, once you fall in love with yourself and you know what that feels like, oh, it's the greatest feeling in the world. Because once you love you, it's reflected back to you. So
Yeah.
everything that you do, all the people you encounter, they will all be a reflection of you. And even if you don't, you're still going to run across people that's a reflection of something you need to work on in your life, right?
Right.
When you're trying to figure out why you're having such a difficult time with this person, that person is a piece of you that you reflect. And so you have to figure out, okay, if I don't like that person, then what is it about me that's in that person that's reflected back to me that I need to work on? That's what you need. Once you see it like that, you don't hold grudges. You don't
Right.
make it personal. You start to work on you, the little things that you consider little things that turn out to be big things. Now, this particular coach, going back to my story here, this particular coach, as we went through the rest of the season, he started, after the third game, I started playing again. He put me on the field and I was a starter again, right? So we go through the season and we finished that season 5-5. Okay. We won 5 of those games. We ended up losing 5. And he was still doing the same tactics every game. He was still breaking us down the whole season. By the time we got to the last game, number 10, we had maybe 20 players that can actually still play because when you practice hard like that, and you're doing that every single day, and then you're
Mm-hmm.
doing it on game day too, your body, even at that age, you're gonna break down. And so we're getting injured as we go through the season. We're dropping. So there's no way for you to be able to do that. And so sometimes in your own life, when you start seeing people break down around you, look at you and ask you, are you contributed to that? Maybe it's somebody at work that you have, that may not like you to some degree, or you think they don't anyway. Instead of shying away from that, engage and find out what their issue is with you. So at least then even if they continue down that road of I don't like you, but once you confront people and put them in a position where they have to speak up about what it is they don't like about you or dislike or whatever, they usually don't have anything concrete that's going to hold up. And that puts it on them to make them think about who they are. So now you put the mirror up to them and saying, okay, I see you. Do you see me? And a lot of times people will run from that. So they will stop doing whatever it is they were doing. This is even if you have a manager, because a lot of times you have people in these positions that are not skilled for the position. They have a title, but they don't have a skill set. And so a lot of times you run into that situation too. So every part of your story is going to have ups and downs, some winding roads through it. I mean, nothing is straight, right? There's nothing straightforward about life itself. It's hard. And that's what people don't like about what we call life is the toughness and the hardness of it. Because why is like why it's like that, we don't have a concrete answer for that, no matter whether you're religious or spiritual or whatever. You don't have a concrete answer to why life has to be so different. But you are experiencing aspects of what you signed up for to a degree. Okay. So you're asking for an answer that cannot be given to you by anyone but you when you experience it. So now my season, as we went through the season here, we finished the season up. This particular coach didn't like anything. He still didn't actually ever show me any real love until after we got out of school. But I'll cover that in a few minutes. I used to wear braids in school, right? I had long hair. He hated that. So on picture day, he did this to me twice. On picture day, when we're taking photos for the high school album, my hair is braided. He sees me and he comes to me before it's my turn to go up to take a photo. He tells me he's not going to allow me to take a photo unless I take my hair.
Right.
Now I'm not expecting to be. He's the only teacher that's messing with me about my hair. So I don't have a comb with me or anything like that. I have to take my hair down because I really want to take this photo. So I take my hair down. I go and take the photo, but I don't have anything to comb my hair with. It's just down. And so I had to take the photo like that. That satisfied him. He did that to me twice. Now that could have broke my spirit so much that at this point I'm getting attacked like that. For now, my personal space is being also under attack by this guy. I can quit and just tell my mom, look, I refuse to go back to that school. Whatever, I don't know what we're gonna do, but I'm not going back to that school. But I decided on the day that we took those photos, on my way home as I was walking, I thought about it a little bit. I said, you know what? I've never had a man approach me like this and do the things that he's doing to me, but I can take this. Take this. If I really want to make voice, I really want to play under the lights on Friday night. So I'm going to stick this out. I'm not going to let him go to the varsity coaches and tell them I have a bad attitude. I can't deal with whatever situation that he may have put, because he was doing that too to some players. He would go to the upper coaches and tell them that, hey, this kid has a bad attitude and you don't really want him on the team. So they would take his word for it, and even though they knew he wasn't a really good person, and they would disqualify you. They find a way for you not to be on the varsity, okay? And that's what every young man that plays in high school, that's their dream, is to get to the varsity, play on those under those lights on Friday nights, right? So that's the big time of high school sports. And so everybody is in a mindset that whatever it's going to take for me to get there, I'm going to stay on these teams to get there. Now, granted, this guy is running us in the ground at halftime of these games, and then we're playing the remainder of the game completely fatigued because we're running 10 40-yard sprints like it's practice, where we're going down to the 40, then we're turning around when everybody gets there and run back to the line that starts at the goal line, right? And so you don't have legs under you by the time you get to the third quarter. You've ran, it's like practice. You get ready to go. That was done at the end of our practices when we practiced through the week. We ran those 40-yard sprints at the end of practice. But here's the kicker to this too, because also at the beginning of practice, at his practices, we ran those same 40-yard wind sprints. So we were getting the double dose of it every single day. And so that's why people were starting to break down and get injured because their bodies just were
Right.
not built to take that type of punishment at that level. And we're practicing in the heat. And this is the other thing that I want you to connect to your own story. He wouldn't allow us to drink water because he told us that water would create cramps. Now we know today if you're not drinking water, you're in trouble. If you're playing sports, you have to drink. You have to put that liquid back into your body because you're sweating it out, and you have to put that back.
Right.
He
You
would
gotta
not let
hydrate
us.
yourself.
Exactly. You got to stay hydrated. He would not allow us to drink water during practice at all. We couldn't get any water till after practice was completely over, and you go into the locker room. Now you can drink all the water you want to, but he wouldn't allow that. And then at the games themselves, he would only take 5 quart bottles full of water for the
Mm.
teams to drink at. So we weren't even being able to hydrate during the games either. So we're playing in Texas, in September, October. We were playing games starting August through September. It's still hot. The temperature is still somewhere in the mid to upper 80s, low 90s. It's hot. And during the 10th grade season, we're playing these games at 5 o'clock, sometimes 4:30. So we're in the crunch of heat, right? And so at your own space in your story, when you're somewhere in your job or your personal life, when you come to that line in the sand that you have to make a decision where somebody's not allowing you to drink the water, you have to make a choice for you. Now, we were in a situation where we didn't have an option, okay? Because he's taking us to the games on the bus, and he even did this to a couple of kids who he got so angry with them. He told them at halftime after we got through running these sprints to take his stuff off, his equipment off. He was calling it his stuff. He had broke their spirit. They took their stuff off. He told them they couldn't ride back to the school on the bus that they came with us as a team member to the game. So they had to call their parents to come get them. Now, if you do that today, that coach is going to get arrested because that's not happening today. But at this point in time, it was allowed. He could do that kind of thing. So the players, he kicked 3 of them off at one time, and they called their parents up, and the parents came up to field where we were playing at and picked them up, and so they left the team. But he had to where he put fear in you constantly. You didn't have a moment to where you could relax. Once you went to that practice, you were on his turf. And so he controlled that atmosphere to where he put fear in you all the time. Now, we have a society where fear is used to manipulate, control, and suggest that you act a certain way or do a certain thing. So when you're under that kind of extreme pressure, some people break and they figure, well, I don't want any problems, so I just go along with the program. And you can do that, but you won't separate yourself from the crowd. You'll gradually slide into the group. Once you're in that group, you're going to go along with anything that the group says because now you have fear of being outside of that group. So you have to be able to walk in your own shadow and your own presence to be able to do what you really want to do. If you're not strong enough to do that, then you're going to live a life that's not going to be happy because you're not going to be content. You know that you need to do something different, but you're afraid to. You can't live this life with fear. So in order for you to get to where you want to go, according to your own once upon a time, be fearless. Even if you have never been fearless, come to that one time where you just refuse to say, I'm going to sit down and take this. You have to be able to do that. Now, in my own lifetime, I've seen, you know, a lot of different things. But this particular coach here, when once we got out of high school and I started doing TV, I was doing covering high school games, college games. I saw him at a football game once. I was down on the field before the game, talking with some of the coaches, and I looked up, and he's now a game official. He's going to officiate this particular game, and I hadn't seen him since I left high school. Right? He looks down and he sees me, so he comes over to where I am, and he sticks his hand out. And as I extend my hand out to shake his hand, he says something to me that he never said while I was in his presence at school. You know, he told me, I love you and I'm glad you made it. Now, that throws me off because I'm not expecting this. I'm just expecting him to say how you doing, and hey, what
Right.
you been up to? But he says that to me, so I'm kind of stunned by that. But at the same time, because I had forgiven him for all the dirty stuff that he had done to me,
Right. Right.
I was able to embrace that energy and tell
Mm-hmm.
him, okay, I love you too, coach. I still call him coach. And so we talked for a few minutes and I asked him, because I'd always said to myself, if I ever ran into him, I was going to ask him
Right.
if I
Right.
treated him
Right.
that. And he told me, I asked him, and he told me, he said, look, the potential that you had, somebody needed to push you beyond your comfort zone and let you see that you were more than just an athlete. You could do more things with that talent. He said, so I saw something in you that you didn't know you had. And the only way I could get you to probably embrace some of that, he said, even I couldn't do it at the time, but it was going to pay dividends for you later. And it did. So I thanked him for being hard on me, but his way of doing that wasn't good for me from a mental standpoint. If you do somebody
Right.
like that
Right.
today,
Right. Right.
that you break them, if you break their spirit and they won't recover from that, they'll hold on to
Right.
that. So you can't do people like this. So when I started coaching kids, the one thing that I took from his experience was never to treat a kid like that. Never.
Mm-hmm.
So I never talked to them out of anger. If they made a mistake, I would point out what the mistake was. And during our practices, we had water breaks every 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes, I would give those kids water and make sure that they had, and all my teams operated like that. As I moved up into the adult leagues and started coaching with adults, it was always like that because I took that not being able to drink water as a sign of a weakness from the person that was wanting to put the fear in you, but also it was trying to break you down to where it would make you think that you weren't capable of deserving of having that water that you needed for your body. So it it's a twofold thing in your journey when you go through your own personal once upon a time. You're going to run into points like this to where maybe in a relationship you're with the wrong person again. Okay, you see something in them that they don't see, and then they won't treat you accordingly to what you think you are. And so you can't allow yourself to stay in that position. You have to move around at some point. You're gonna have to leave. And that sometimes is a tough position because if if you don't already love you, as Joan mentioned at the top of the show, then you sort of get yourself caught in a conundrum where you're not for sure who is you, what to do, when to do it. And you allow this other person or entity to basically lead you. And sometimes that won't be in the right direction. And so sometimes you'll miss out on your full potential because you allowed yourself to be caught up in something that you're more worthy than what your situation suggested. So I'm just telling you that the first thing you must always do is love you. And you have to build yourself into that. Okay, once you understand who you are and you love you unconditionally, nobody can break you after that. It's going to be very difficult for somebody to break because you know what love actually is and what it feels like unconditional. Okay, even from a family member who may have conditional love for you, and a lot of families have that today. We have that issue to where they love you as long as you're doing what they want you to do or act accordingly to what how they want you to act, or even if in your job situation, it's the same situation, right? You have to love you enough that you can stand up for you and say, no, I'm not doing it. You're trying to hurt me or bring me harm, and I'm not going to allow that to happen. Usually, what happens is after you do that, they will back off because they now know that you love you more than they can tell you what love is.
Mm-hmm.
Once you understand that, everything else will slide into place because you start moving as though you have. We use the word confidence a lot, but it's like using the word love, right? Where it's not so much what it really is to you. You're just saying the word, but you don't really believe that you are.
Right.
You have to come to a level where you believe that you are loved, you have confidence. Once you
Mm-hmm.
combine those two things, there is absolutely nothing that you won't be able to do. We have people that have faced it from time to time that you can do anything, right? But you won't fully believe that you can, unless again you bring in a third party entity to suggest that you can do anything. Now, when I'm talking about third parties, we're talking spirit, okay? Uh, it's you. You have to be able to first take the steps in order to get to where you want to go because something else is not going to give you the power to do that without you first accepting and believing that you can. So even if we were to go religious here for a few seconds, if you look in your Bible and basically all these religious books are basically the same books, okay? So instead of, let's talk about from perspective of who God is, what God or whatever that is, all these books are the same. They're written off the same principles, basically. Okay. That book will tell you that you can manifest if you speak, and this is in the Bible if you're reading the Bible, okay? You speak it as you believe it to be, and it becomes that. Okay. Jesus himself said that, if you want to go that route. The other aspect of it is that you can't have more belief in something that's outside of you than you have in you. Because if you have your belief system built outside of you, then you can't respond to what I just told you that I had to go through with that football coach
Mm-hmm.
in 10th grade as a young kid. You can't respond to that unless you have it in you first.
True.
So if I would have been asking God to help me, I would have been in trouble because I would have put my own power outside of me to
Mm-hmm.
have a response. Now, you hear people all the time, I prayed about it and God took it. You have to take the steps in order for something to come to you. Okay? If you don't take those steps, you can pray from now until the time you die, which we never do. But by the time you leave this body, and nothing still would have happened. You'd have prayed your way all the way through however long you live, and everything still would have been basically the same. So don't fool yourself. Take control of you by loving you first, and then you can move yourself forward into anything that you decide that you want to do. You can do it. You can do it. You have to believe that you can. Okay. And when we talk about belief, you can't just say the word "I believe" and then you don't follow up on it. Take some action too. But you first of all have to envision and see yourself succeeding in whatever that vision is that you have. Once you see yourself succeeding at it, now you can make it happen. You can make it happen. So a lot of the things like in my own personal life that I've endured and felt successful with, I've just taken the steps. I believed I could do it. And then people around me believed in that energy enough to say, let's give them a shot anyway and make it happen. Right. And so that a lot of times, I've said this before on shows that I've always felt like I'm one of the luckiest people in the world. A lot of things that move forward on, everything starts from a thought. You have to think about it first. Everything that's ever been created came from a thought first. Okay, it wasn't just somewhere just created. It came from a thought. Somebody thought about that, and then they put it on paper, and then they decided to take the steps to follow up on it and make it happen. So the same concept for myself. I always, once it's thought of, I can see the vision, then I'll start the steps to make it happen. It'll happen because I'm following through on it. I believe it so thoroughly that it can happen that I will will it to be so. So you can do the same thing. Everybody, you have people that approach me, for instance, from time to time. They'll say, "Well, I would like to be able to do what you do, man. How do I do that?" And I just told you how. You have to start with a belief system, but it starts from love first, self love. Once you have that self love, everything else will slot behind that energy and it'll push you where you want to go. And that gives you the confidence to believe that you can actually do whatever it is you said you can do. But if you don't have self love, then self doubt is going to come in. And then you always have the noise outside saying, I don't think they can actually happen. I don't believe that it can happen. But you have to start with you first. Okay. So again, once upon a time, everybody has a story. And this little short speech that I'm giving you now is about you. It's not me. I just told a little version of one story, right? But you have your own stories that I just ask you to take a trip with me and remember of your own journey to where today, whoever you are, whatever you're doing, those stories have made you up to where you are right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times you see people, talk about their past to where it's painful, but they've healed themselves to be able to talk about their past. I've read a couple of things on sites like LinkedIn and other sites where you see people who are willing to open up and share stories from their past, and they're telling you that they endured so much pain and hurt that they didn't know how they were going to come back from that, but they did, you know. And then some of the people are still trying to, go through the transition of healing, which is a lifetime process actually, because once you are healed, and sometimes it may take you a whole lifetime to do this, you feel better about you. You don't keep speaking of yourself in the past tense of pain. You start speaking of yourself as someone who enjoys life and love what you do and enjoy being here, things around you. Right? When somebody hasn't healed completely, they will continue to bring up the past. They'll keep
Mm-hmm.
dragging around past tense actions and people who hurt them. This
Right.
particular coach that I told the story about, I don't ever talk about him unless I'm telling the story about what I had to go
Mm-hmm.
through as a 15, 16-year-old kid to get past his, to make it to the varsity at the high school I attended, right? And so he didn't affect me to where it broke my spirit. And so that's why when we had that exchange before the game on that field the night that I was televising that game, that little exchange closed that chapter completely because
Right.
I hadn't
Mm-hmm.
seen him again since I left that school, right? He ended up leaving the school too, and he went to another high school and became the head coach of another school. And they ended up, he was using the same tactics on these kids, but those parents decided, no, you're not breaking my kid down like that. So
Mm-hmm.
they got rid of him. They had him fired. And so that's why he ended up as a game official. But I hadn't seen him any place. I just, ran across to where that had happened. I knew about that. And so I hadn't seen him since then. But to run into him and for him to greet me like that, it let me know too that he had thought about it at the time he was doing it. And at the
Right.
time that after that, he probably still thought some aspects of he went too far. Because he did, but I wouldn't let it break me. But I saw other kids that played on that team with me that he did. He broke their spirit to where they gave up sports completely. They didn't participate in any more sports because he was also the track team coach. So if you ran track, you had to, again go through him. And those were the only two sports that he really actively was involved in. He taught PE classes too, but as an athlete, you didn't. That time, you didn't take PE, and you still don't today. So uh, I only had to deal with him through those 2 seasons, but his
Right.
expectations for me was really way out there to some
Mm-hmm.
degree, right? And I guess but as he said, my potential gave him the idea that I could do more than what was being done. So that's what. But instead of just coming and sit down and just say I need to sit you down and talk to you, he didn't do that. So he went a different route and was
Mm-hmm.
trying to break me down mentally to where I don't know if I would have been able to come back had I broke up under that kind of pressure, but I didn't break. So that was able to carry me on. And so as I moved forward in life from that experience, everything else that came to me was easy to deal with because I had went through something that I really desired and wanted to do. I had made it through that. And the next season, after we went through that 10th grade season, I went on and went to varsity and started and didn't have any issues with the coaches up there. They were excited to have me on the team, and we moved on. But yeah, he was really difficult. But remember that second time that I told you he did me with the hair twice. I was taking my varsity picture, and he saw me coming out of the locker room. And now the varsity coach is already on the field with the rest of the team because they're already taking photos. I'm coming out of the locker room area, and he's standing there. And so as I come out again, I got braids. He stops and he tells me he's not going to allow me to go to the field unless I take my hair down. So I'm kind of caught up in a conundrum now because he's not my coach any longer, but I know he still influences coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what decision to make. I'm standing there for a few minutes, and I realize that okay, he's next actually not going to allow me to go to the field, and I can't call one of the other varsity coaches to come and hey, mediate this situation because they don't have any issue with it. He does.
Right.
I took my hair down again, took a picture with my hair all over my head again as my 12th grade picture, right? So you have people that will stand in your way on your
Mm-hmm.
journey, and sometimes you have to just take the if you're not in position to be able to deal with the situation as it needs to be done at that time. Because if I would have been in a different situation where I could have dealt with him differently, then I would have had tools in order to tell him, look,
Mm-hmm.
this is not the way we need to do this. You're not bothering anybody else. So why you picking on me with this? But I didn't have the skill set for that at that time. So I didn't know how to deal with it. So now I will share this with you. After that, when I went home, I told my parents about it. And they went back up to the school the next day to talk with the principal about him. So we did have a conference about that. He never messed with me again after that. So I went through the track season without any problems from him. But he also let me know that he didn't like me at first say because again he was trying to push me beyond what he thought my potential was. So he was just giving me the air or the sense of he didn't like me, but he did. But I didn't know that because at the time he acted as though I was
Right.
something that he just couldn't deal with because of whatever reason he had. So sometimes it's your job and in your life you have people like this. Now if you take this and you put it into your own story, as I mentioned at the top of my speech here, is sometimes the end is the beginning. And in this particular situation where I ended with him, it was my beginning because I took that and went on to do things that
Mm-hmm.
I may not have even been able to do, but I was able to do everything that I've ever wanted to do. I've been able to do that because I don't have any fear of anything, and so I'm not worried about somebody standing in my way. I know now that I can get around that particular
Mm-hmm.
person or situation. I can find my way through. I always tell people if one door is closed, look for a back door because there always is one. You just have to know it that it exists. And if you know it's a back door, you can find your way into where you're trying to go. I'm gonna share one other thing with you before I end this speech. When I got into minor league sports, I went into attempted to go to join a league that was, and this is going to be a little touching for some people, but I'm going to share this. I attempted to get into this league, and all the other owners of teams in this particular league didn't look like me. Okay, I'll put it that way. And so when I went to the league meeting, I was invited to come to the league meeting. I went to the league meeting, and again, there's nobody there that looks like me. So I'm there in the room with them. Everything's going well, at least on the surface it was. And they were letting me know that, okay, yeah, we'll probably, we'll be willing to let you join the league. Now, leagues work a lot different than this now, of course, but 5 of those guys who didn't want me in the league under any circumstance, when we took a break, they went to the bathroom as a group. Now, while they were in there, they were discussing me. One of the other guys who didn't have any problems with me joining the league happened to go in there, and he heard them having this little meeting. The meeting was about me, that they were going to vote for me not to be able to join this league. They didn't have a reason outside of I didn't look like them, but I'm trying to push the boundaries, so to speak, And so he comes back out and he tells me, look, these guys are plotting to vote against you coming into this league. We don't know if we're going to have enough votes or not to get you in, because if they stay as a group, they can block you. He said, but I'm going to go and talk with the other guys and let them kind of know what's going on, what these guys have planned, and we'll see, just kind of see how it goes. And so I told him that regardless of what they do, I've already opened the door for somebody who looks like me that's coming behind me. So everything that I'm going to do moving forward is not going to be for me. So whatever happens in these next 30 minutes or so, let it happen. So when they readjourn the meeting and we come back in, they ended up voting me into the league, but these 5 guys actually did vote as a block to block me, to not let me into the league, right? But what they hadn't planned on was me standing up when they asked me if I had any words to say, ask them point blank, face to face, why they were talking that way. I put them on the spot. None of them wanted to stand and respond to me. So I had 2 choices, right? I could have walked. Once the vote was actually taking place after I gave my speech, I didn't know if they were going to vote me in or not at this point. But I had a feeling that I could still be voted into this league, right? But I wanted these guys to know that even if I didn't make it this time, that I would come back and ask to join the league again. So my option was to not say anything else about this and accept that I just wasn't going to be able to join this league. But I knew change was happening fast for the league itself. And so they needed me like I wanted to join, right? So because I had something that they didn't have, access to media. They didn't have that. They weren't on TV any place. They weren't on radio any place, anything like that. And they didn't have any access to people who were. I'm in the industry. So I have character day. And that was my power. And so the guys who voted me in knew that. They wanted a piece of the pie that I was going to have, because I knew once I got into the league, I was going to generate revenue with the team. I knew I had TV. And they didn't have any TV. So I was going to be able to make some money. And so that's why they voted me in, because they wanted my information. And the reason I'm sharing this is because I want you to understand that you have something that's valuable to somebody else. You always do, okay? Somebody somewhere can use your information to propel themselves to where they want to go. So don't ever think that you're not of value. You always have something that's valuable to somebody else. Now, how you package that and put it together and put it out there, that's a whole different thing. But you always have some value. You have to know that you're always worthy. So don't ever consider yourself unworthy of whatever it is you're doing. And there's nothing easy about anything that you're going to do, right? Everything is going to be tough and hard and not easy to do, but you have to make sure that you understand that you are worthy and capable of doing it. And so I'm going to end it on that note and just tell you that hey, your once upon a time is your superpower. Just use it in the context of where it benefits you, no matter where it's personal life, your work life, your social life. You have something that's so just allow your story to be something of power to you and take you forward and you do everything that you want to do. I'm going to end it with thank you. Okay.
Wow.
That was a great presentation, Will.
Thank
Just listening to you, you're welcome. Just listening to you, how you really articulate with your words. It's to help someone to understand that there is a story that we all have to tell. And that story is within us. As when we open the podcast, we said that we all go through different chapters of our lives, and each chapter is a part of our story. Some chapters may be beautiful, and some may not be that beautiful, but it's all part of the story. It's all part of Once Upon a Time. It's your unique story, and it's your story to tell. Because as we walk through this journey called life, our stories really help to empower us. As we go through these different chapters in life, we empower ourselves. Because one chapter is going to lead you to the next chapter. All the tools from since you're born, all the tools that you need is leading you to the next one. So whatever we go through, there is a reason why you're going through that. Because you're going to need the tools from this chapter to go to make the transition into the next chapter. So nothing is happening to you by accident. Nothing is happening by accident. You need all of these chapters for your once upon a time. You need all of these chapters, and your chapters empower you. It's part of your evolution. It's part of your evolution. And I really like when you talk about, both you and Joan talked about self-love. Because self-love is super important. Because whatever we go through, we still have to love ourselves. We still have to love ourselves. Whatever we are going through in this point in time in our lives, we still have to love ourselves and show ourselves compassion and grace, as Joan said. Because nothing is happening by accident. We are here, as I said before, we are here for a unique reason and a unique purpose. And things will show up in front of us. And as Will said, sometimes it's part of your healing. Many times we think that, you know what, we are healed. But once you see something is triggering you, you're not healed. It's triggering you for a reason. And once you see the trigger comes up, it's time to pay attention to that trigger. Because that trigger is helping you to know that that part of your life is not healed.
Mm-hmm.
So just sit with that this evening, and as we said before, pause when it's necessary. Pause when it is necessary, because many times we are on the go all the time and we're not looking after our self-care. Our self-care is super important, because if we don't do that, we get burned out, we get stressed out,
Mhm.
we start to go into that state of depression, because you can't focus. You cannot focus when you're stressed out. You can't focus, and nothing gonna seems to be going your way. And then you wanted to know why things are not going your way. But you have to pause and you have to do your self care, because it's super important for you. If that means of getting off from social media,
Mhm.
just do it for you. It has nothing to do with nobody else. It's essential for your life. Look at it this way. Many times we got a computer, right? And many times it will say you don't have any more space. What do you have to do? You got to reboot it, or you got to get an external hard drive to put the stuff in it. You got to clean it up. So it's just like us. The things is not that is not serving us, we have to get rid of it. We got to do some cleaning up. You got to clean up the hard drive so it could function properly. You got to reprogram. Sometimes when you're rebooting the computer, you got to put in some new programs, because it can't run on the old ones anymore. It cannot run on the old ones anymore. So it's part of life. And when you're going through these experiences, which is your chapters, make sure that you write down certain things. Make sure you write, because writing is super important. And be grateful for these chapters. Just be grateful, because your chapters is what is shaping you. So be grateful for the experiences that you're going through. It is super important. Joan, take the mic.
Wow. 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 Well, thank you for sharing the story. Thank you for sharing Once Upon a Time. And the way you described the story and the way how you shared it, you brought it into the space where we all can follow. You took us on a journey, and we can look at our lives, those who are watching live and gonna catch the replay, and then you can think in yourself, well, what did stood in my way that did not allow me to make that next? What was that thing, that one thing, or several things that stood in the way that I did not have that level of courage? I did not have the level of determination. What broke my spirit? Or what kept my spirit going in spite of? And that is why it's so great. But we spoke about pausing and reflection and introspection, because as we continue to grow, we continue to evolve. But life sometimes brings us back to spaces which we reflect to spaces that we've been through, and point of what did I do in that moment that helped me? Those are your tools now that help me. How do I navigate in the situation that I'm in, and how I did back then?
Mhm.
What that one thing that kept me going, that pushed past, that helped me to push past that moment when I felt like giving up, when I felt like my spirit was broken, what kept me strong? What gave me the level of courage and the determination to say, no, I'm going to push past. I'm better than that. And I can reach within, go into my inner self and said, no, I have the level of strength. I may feel a little broken now, but I have the level of strength that I can reach in my core being and pull myself up and be strong and have that courage and determination and resilience to move past. Because we all encounter that in life. Might be different moments, might be different situation, but there are times that we just have to have that level of courage. And as you rightfully spoke of, well, you have to go within because the external environment would not give that to you. That is something that is built within, and you go within and harness that, and you muster up that level of courage and muster up that level of strength that can help me to elevate myself to move forward. And you spoke about a level of forgiveness, which we talked about it in the beginning. But it was good that you have reached to the space in your life before you met him. You'd already forgiven him. So when the moment happened, it was okay. It was okay because you've already made peace with that past. So when the moment came, you were all right. When he reached out to you, the words were exchanged, it was well received. It was well received. But it takes, and that is why it go back to self-love, forgiveness, self-awareness. Because if you were not in that space, you couldn't handle that situation with him because you might still have been holding on to things that way he treated you and the other team members. But you have grown in that space within that time. So when you actually seen him, you were good. You're all right. Congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
Because it takes a lot to do that. Because sometimes I think that's why sometimes we are stuck because we're thinking about our past and the unfairness and wasn't treated right and all those things and can hold us and we carry that within and it wear us down
Yep.
and the burden and we angry and we tell everybody the story that he didn't treat me right and it wasn't fair. But no, you were healed from that. So you were strong enough to move forward. You were able to receive and continue to receive success in life because you understood the principle. You understood that you understand that I'm not going to hold on to what happened to me because that does not define me. I am better than that. I'm worthy. You understood your values. You knew who you are. And so you can step in your level of greatness to achieve everything. And the good thing about it too, as we spoke about earlier, when we can clear away the clutter and unclog that, we can receive all the goodness that the universe, life, whatever is your thing about source or whatever, God, that can give us because there is clearance. We can receive all our gifts that is waiting for us. But when we hold on to grudges and the past and wasn't fair and we keep holding that and we keeping us close to our chest. Yes, of course it was not fair. Yes, of course it wasn't right. But how long are we going to hold on to it?
Mm-hmm.
Because as we hold on to it, we're not letting the goodies come in. Because life want to give us the goodness. We want to live our true essential self. We want to live our best. And in order for us to get all of those things, we got to move in that alignment and clear those things away. So the story you shared with us tonight, Will, it was so powerful. It was strong. It was gripping, and you took us through the different phases to help us to understand as we move forward in life, things are going to stand in the way. Of course, it's life because every day, every chapter we move into, we are painting a new canvas.
Mhm.
We're painting that picture, and what it's going to look like sometime we don't know. But as we look at it, as we continue to paint, and when that chapter is concluded, we can see the picture and we can see what got us there: courage, resilience, faith, determination, strength, believing in our. I know you talk about believing in yourself,
Mhm.
but to believe in yourself, you got to love yourself
True.
first. You got to love yourself first
Mhm.
because as that's the foundation. You love yourself, and then you build on that. You build on that, and there is where the strength is. So as we move through life, and we encounter things, we can know how to handle things because we're grown and we constantly growing. It's a state of evolution, and showing ourselves the level of compassion and forgiveness that you spoke about. Well, is so important because then we can move through with ease, effortlessly. And what matters then no longer is because we have grown and we can handle things better. We can speak better and we focus more on positivity, even though negativity may come. Okay, we can't stop its life, but we know how to channel, we know how to focus, we know where to put our attention because where we put our attention, it carries emotion, and we know how to redirect when we can see, okay, this is not working for us. Where do I focus my attention? What am I doing for myself that it will enable me to move forward? So you touched so much and so many things tonight, and it helped us to understand that our approach really matters. Because how we approach things is not what we're doing, how we approach it. How do we approach it? Depends. That is the way we're going to get success. You will succeed. Sometimes things takes longer than others, but it's all okay because delay is just readiness and preparation for what it is to get. We had an article today out that talk about preparation and readiness, and that is so beautiful because in order to get to that next, that preparation and readiness is important. So when the goods come in, we can handle it. So you have
Mhm.
served us very well tonight because you've expanded our toolbox. You have provided us so much things that we can think about and reflect in our own lives. How do we handle what might be standing in front of us? And how do we push past to get to that next? Do we stay stuck or we decide, no, I'm better than that. I'm stronger than that. I'm going to reach my inner being. I'm going to incorporate God, universe, source, whatever is it that you're reaching from outside of yourself. And that's going to help me to live out my purpose and live my true essential self, that I can create that level of impact in the world. There you go.
That was good. That was good. Well, let me wrap this up with one part of redemption from my story too. You
Yeah,
know,
put a
I
bow on
covered the
it.
part I covered the part about me eventually moving up to where I was trying to join this professional league, right? Now, to show you an ironic twist in how things work, one of the guys who was the ringleader of that meeting that they held to not vote me into that league, he sold his team eventually, right? And he
Mm-hmm.
became a coach. So ironically, the team that he was coaching, his team that he sold it to a doctor. This particular doctor got in touch with me and asked me if I was interested in buying the team from him. This was years later. I told him yes. So I go to this meeting. They invite me to this meeting. I go to this meeting, and we're sitting down at this expensive hotel. It's a restaurant. We sit down and we eat, and he's at the meeting. He's the head coach of this team. Show you how ironic this is. So I agreed at that dinner that I would buy that team. So at that same dinner, while we sitting around this table, I fired him right there on the spot. And this is how he responded to this. He started crying at the table because he loved this team so much, but it broke his spirit that I was willing to fire him sitting right in front of him. But I fired him right there on the spot. And
Wow.
yeah. So that's the redemption of this stuff. Life travels in a circle. And so whatever you think that you may have done to somebody, eventually you
Mm-hmm.
may have to pass that person again, you know?
Yeah.
And what the lesson that I gained from that is when I went into other leagues that had some type of mentality to it, it taught me that I needed a Trojan horse. So what I did was, in order for me to build, I owned a series of teams and also the league. And so what I did was, instead of me attending the meeting, I
Mm-hmm.
kept myself private, even though I was going to be the majority owner.
Right.
I had a Trojan horse to go to the meeting and be the proxy for me. So I was never faced with that type of situation again.
Right.
But I figured out how the game was being played, and so I played the
Mm-hmm.
game accordingly to
Mm-hmm.
where once I got in, then I could expose myself to you just sold a team, but I'm the owner of the
Mm-hmm.
team. So yeah, it was ironic that I sat across the table and that guy died just a few years ago, and
Wow.
I shared the story with some of the guys that played on the team, his team, the players under him, and they didn't like him and they thought it was a good thing. But I told them, I said at the time that I did that, at that time it was something that I thought I needed to do because I needed a head coach that could actually win. Since I was spending this money on this team, I needed a coach that could win. I said if I would have had to do it over again, I probably would have moved him to a different position and just kept him involved with it for a little while
Mm-hmm.
longer, and then
Mm-hmm.
gradually slid him out. But at that moment, when I'm sitting across looking at him, that was my redemption time. And so I acted accordingly, just right there in his face, tell him that I didn't need him. So,
Let me tell you, what were you feeling at the moment when you were in that moment?
well, I was empowered because I remembered that he was in that bathroom trying to tell the other guys to not
Oh,
let me in
right.
that league,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm sitting in front of him, I'm now holding the trump card, so to speak. And so I now control his destiny. Just like he was in a position to where he controlled mine because I really wanted to join this particular league,
Right. Right.
and he was in position to control that, right? So now I'm sitting across from him, and I'm in the same position. And at the time that I made that decision, we had eye contact because he wasn't for sure what I was going to do.
Right. Right. Right.
He had been set in as the head coach for probably the last 3 or 4 seasons with that particular team, and I didn't have any qualms about firing him. Once I decided I was going to buy the team, he was out. And so but when I seen it break him like that, and he couldn't hold
Yeah.
his emotion, he started. We sitting in a restaurant, and he just it took everything out of him. That was
Wow.
basically what he was living for, was that. So it took it out of him. I basically took his heart out. So I didn't want to do that to him. That's not how I operate. But at that moment, that was redemption. So
Mhm.
just you just never know how life is going to work, how things come back to you.
Right.
So
Right.
try to treat people accordingly, and you know, karma will take its course and do what it needs to do to
Right,
whoever is
right,
trying to
right,
cause you.
right, 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 right.
Just like with the coach that I told the story about, he had eventually karma came back and he got fired. So I didn't have anything to do with that, but the parents
Mm-hmm,
at the school that he went to, that was redemption for all those players he had mistreated over the years. All of that came back to him.
mm-hmm.
So you have to try to treat people the way you would want to be treated,
Want to be
no matter
treated right,
yeah, no
right.
matter what the situation is. You try to treat people the way you want to be. That's it.
Wow. Right. That's true. Yeah. Treat people how you would
Wow.
want to be treated.
Yeah.
Truly
So
amazing. Wow.
so
Well,
tonight's been interesting, and I'm
we have
glad
one.
we had a chance to do this. And thank you guys for hosting it. And there you
Mm-hmm.
go. So we'll be back on another reflector with a different guest, and one of us three will be hosting the show. So join us. We got a good
Yes.
season coming up for you. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Yeah.
grow and learn some things too. So yeah, every
Right.
show will be something informative for you to learn something and take away from it that can improve your own life. That's
Right.
Absolutely.
It something just dropped in. One of the things that you would and we would love you to talk about
okay.
is about energies.
Right. I
Karen and
believe
I
in
was thinking about it.
right. Uh, do you want to do a show on this, or you want me to cover it now?
No, no,
Here we
no.
go.
We want you to do a show on it.
Okay. Okay.
Talk about how
Yeah.
energies work.
Right. I'd love to do that because I believe in it. You know, I share a little bit about this on a couple of shows already that we talked about. Uh, I went through a transformation with the awakening that I went through, but what I encountered was an energy force. It wasn't a being of some kind or something that you could see, but it was an energy. And
Mhm.
so my experience with that energy and I said this on a relationship show that I did with you guys. When you encounter this, whatever it is, it changes you because you are experiencing something that very few people eh, get to experience, and you don't know why it chose you to
Right.
show you this. And so yeah, I'd like to do a show on that to where we talk about what that is and how it can change and improve your life to where you will see things in a different perspective. You know, from
Yeah.
what you thought you knew already, it would change your whole perspective. It really will.
Yeah, Karen and I was talking about that. So we're glad that you hope we didn't put you on the spot, excuse me.
No,
Yeah.
no, no, no. We're good. We're good. I look forward
Uh,
to doing that. Matter of fact, I'm gonna say this, and then I guess we'll be ready to get out of here. Or you guys still want to say anything else? But at some point, uh, we got to have a meeting between the three of us because I want to do. I had an idea for something, and I'm gonna put it on the airways here. To do an adult wholeness book, to where it's coloring and poems and holistic foods and how to take care of yourself. Put that in the context of one book. So between the three of us, I think we could do a pretty good job of it. And so we'll have a meeting, off camera about this at some time here in the next week or two. But we'll talk about that and see if we can how we can come together and put that together and make it happen.
that sounds awesome.
Okay. Okay.
Thank
But yeah,
you.
I try to tell people just believe in and whatever, like you just said, Joan, whatever you believe in is your belief. And so, like with myself, I don't try to get people to not believe in what they do, just so it
Mm-hmm.
works for them. That's all that really matters.
Sure,
And
sure.
so, when I speak of in the context of the Bible or the Quran or any other book, uh, it's in the context of you believing what you do, and if it
Mm-hmm.
works for you, that's fine. I'm not
Of
trying
course, of course.
to change your belief system at all. If whatever you are fully enveloped in and you think it works for you, then so be it. That's it. That's it.
Embrace embody.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. This was so good. This was
It
really,
was
really
it
good.
was yeah, it
It was
was.
very informative and inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
and to really help someone to understand that we all have this unique story that we can tell.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to believe in ourselves, and we got to know that we are worthy enough. Whatever you believe in, you are worthy enough. There is a reason why that is coming up, because you're worthy enough. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really value your comments, beautiful comments. I know some people are joining from all over the world, and we really appreciate you taking the time and sitting up with us for this beautiful show here this evening.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And we wish you guys all the best. Continue to believe in yourself. Continue to know
Mm-hmm.
that you're worthy. Continue to know that you are love. Every day, pour love into
Mm-hmm.
yourself, because
Mm-hmm.
you are worthy of that love. You are worthy. And don't forget to subscribe to Soul Light and Body, that you will never miss none of these episodes. Also, our two books on Amazon, Self Care is Intentional and Your Gut in You. You can go grab yourself a copy. We got a hard copy, we got a Kindle version, and we got a paperback. We got it all for you. And also
Mhm.
our
Right.
magazines. Also our magazines. You can subscribe and you will receive this copy. It's free of cost. It's also digital and hard copy. So you could go in the comments and you're going to find the links and you can sign up. And once again, thank you so much, Will, for showing
Thank
up in
you.
this space and enriching it as always as a co host. Thank you so much. And you guys
Thank
have
you.
a fabulous rest of the evening or a day, whatever time it is that you're waking up to now. Have a great day. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
You got to go home. Bye.